Kitty, 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 come, kitty. Kitty, 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 come, kitty, come, kitty, come, kitty. Kitty, come, kitty, come, kitty, come, kitty.
And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. With your hosts, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice. This is Moses, and welcome one and all to episode 325, the Panthers playoff edition of your 12th Man Fan Jam show. The show made up of Seahawk fans from around the world just like you, talking about your Seattle Seahawks. Over the next few moments we share together, we hope that you are entertained as we discuss your Seattle Seahawks as they prepare to take on the Carolina Panthers. So sit back, relax, grab a desired beverage or sit of your choice, and remember, Panther no Panth, we coming for you, Carolina. As is the usual with every show, I am joined by the 12th Man Fan Jam posse, a ragtag group of diehard Seahawk fans just like you from around the world. First, of course, as always, is my partner in crime from merry old England, Matt. Hi, Matt.
Good morning, Moses. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. How are you, sir?
Well, I bring good news and bad.
You do. Do share. What is the good news?
The good news is no more early morning games for the Seahawks.
Yay. What's the bad news?
Bad news is over here in the UK, that means no more early evening games, which means that everything now ends at past midnight again.
Oh, I'm not going to rimshot that. That's terrible. Boo. That's very sad. Ah, sad.
Oh, that woman. If no one's heard what that is, by the way, go and have a listen. Go and have a listen to Blair Walsh missed field goal. There's one on there, and there's a little old lady, and he misses it, and the father's like, "Oh my God, he missed it! He missed it!" And all she can say is, "What?" It's like, he missed the field goal, and it's like, oh, sad.
Well, right before that, the girl is like, well, he's not ugly, though.
He's not ugly, though. Yeah, but he's not going to go out with you, girl. Cause
he's not going out with you. You're 12. Okay. We're also...
Let's hope he's not going out with her.
Yeah, so
I mean, you know, his life is taking a dramatic spiral for the worse at the moment.
Well, I don't think he worked at Subway, so he doesn't
how
have to
much
worry
lower
about
can
that.
he... Oh! Subway reference.
His name's not Jared, thank you.
Oh, my God. There's the Subway. All right. Well, speaking of our posse, next we're State Washington.
What?
Our own news is 12-man editorials found on SeahawksOut.com. You know him as Shadowhawk. We know him as Will. Hi, Will. And what an intro, huh?
Yes, that was quite interesting. And I just have to say
welcome.
thank you to Blair Walsh for missing that field goal, because I actually drove up to Canada to watch the game. And if we had lost that game, I might not have been allowed back into the country.
That's very true, I think.
Sir, where were you in Canada? What the hell do you care? We're going to have to ask you to pull over here. Body cavity search now.
Man, we've made the references we've made. We're not even through the intros yet. It's crazy.
Yeah, kind of juvenile, I know.
Yeah, that's what we do. Also joined this week to the posse, also from the state of Washington, it is our friend Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, some of us never grow out of juvenile or grow at all.
No, we don't.
We're not talking about clothes, Justin. We're not talking about clothes.
And that's what we're looking for. You need to turn us off, because this is not going. It's going to get worse from here. We will also be joined a couple of times by posse member Statsman Mark throughout the magic of the recorded words. So you'll hear him on a couple of rants coming up. Wow, what a week, huh? Gosh, gentlemen. Hard to believe that we're getting ready for another game, but here we are, so let's get to it. For those who listened before, thank you for joining us again. And for those who are listening for the first time, don't worry, we will be gentle, but be careful. Those goalposts may move at any time. So, shows run like a real NFL football game. We have 4 quarters, even a halftime. First quarter will be news with Will, and then a special relocation version of Finish That Phrase. And then we'll have some deep thoughts between quarter 1 and 2 from Statsman Mark about the Vikings game, and that will transition us to quarter 2, where we will talk about the Vikings recap. We have our usual Caption That Picture and a special top 3 reasons why Blair Walsh missed that kick. Halftime is the return of the best Seahawk-themed play-along game on the internet, 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia. It's the only way I can get Matt on the show.
It's true.
Yeah. It is. Then the third quarter will be injury stats and lines for the Panthers game. Between the third and fourth quarter, some more deep thoughts by Statsman Mark on the upcoming Panther game. And then the fourth quarter, we put all that together. We make our predictions, our prognostications, and game balls for the upcoming Sunday game between your Seattle Seahawks and the Carolina Panthers. But before we start, as always, please like, share, subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Contact us on this thread. Comment section of the video. Feedback. Email us at 12manfanjam@gmail.com. Tell us what you think, even if we're juvenile. Join us on the Facebook group, 12th Man Fan Jam Show. Lots of Seahawk discussions and fun there. We also have a game thread. We're also on Twitter at Seahawk Positivity. Let us know your thoughts. We're presenting awards on February 7th, 2016. The third annual 12th Man Fan Jam Show Awards, the Fan Jammies, as we like to call them. There are the categories: Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Scorer of the Year, and Game of the Year. And if you have a vote for any of those, we'll have nominations up on the 12th Man Fan Jam Show Facebook page. You can vote by commenting here on this video. Email your votes to 12manfanjam@gmail.com. Comment on this video's thread. Tweet your votes to us at Seahawk Positivity, or comment at 12th Man Fan Jam Show page at Facebook. We'd like to get a lot of votes in, and then we will have that award show February 7th, around that time maybe. That's when that's actually when the polls will close, and then we'll have it after that. So, a lot going on, and let's get started with the first quarter and news. Yes, news from around the NFL while you were out recuperating from that wild finish in Minnesota cold. Here's our 12th Man Fan Jam news hound, Shadowhawk Will, with the news, brought to you by sponsor, the Cam Newton Vanity Mirror. Now available in large, extra large, and Newton ego-sized. Warning, opposing teams may be closer than they appear. Will, what you got for us?
Well, Moses, before Marshawn Lynch became famous for skipping out on road trips to Minnesota, and you can blame him, he was also famous for not just what he did on the field, but how studiously he avoided the media off the field. Well, this first story is an example of why I don't blame him for avoiding the media. And it happens to concern an old friend of Seattle's receiving corps, namely Chris Carter. Now, Carter, as everybody knows, works for ESPN. I don't know why, but they still hire him. And one of the news stories that broke over the weekend when Seattle was trying to thaw out from their trip to Minnesota was Patriots defensive end Chandler Jones, who ended up in the hospital on Sunday after reportedly having a bad reaction to synthetic marijuana, which is a bad enough story in and of itself, considering that his team is still in the playoffs. But Chris Carter decided to take it one step further, saying on Mike and Mike, the radio show, that he suspects people are covering for Jones by saying he used synthetic marijuana when really it was something else. Quote, "I don't know this. I think the synthetic marijuana story might be just a story. Just for me, it don't pass the smell test for me. To me, I think he was smoking marijuana, and I think he was smoking some marijuana laced with PCP or angel dust. And I think that's what made him tripped out. Now, he could have been smoking synthetic, but it's a better story to tell. That's the reason I'm here. I don't know all the details of the case, but I'm just a little, the synthetic, that's a better way to put it. So yeah,
He's know a little bit more about that than he should.
I will grant that Chris Carter is not a stranger to the world of controlled substances, but
not at all.
You would think that you wouldn't make a speculation like that unless unless you had some sort of evidence, which he did not present. So I don't. What the hell, Chris Carter? Get yourself a fall guy.
Well, he obviously used a 5-inch blade, because when you cut a body with a 5-inch blade, that's what it looked. Not that I would know, but that's what I hear.
You watch a lot of Dexter, so.
I mean, that's the sort of thing you'd say, though, isn't it? It's like, when you want to murder somebody, you wouldn't use a knife, because I wouldn't use a knife that small. I'd use a knife this big, is how I would do it. And it's the way he's sort of saying it. But how the hell does he, when you're talking about drugs and stuff, using it doesn't smell right with me is not the right phrase to use.
That's exactly right.
I mean, how the hell does he know what synthetic marijuana smells like? And how does he know what synthetic marijuana smells like, covered in, what was it, fairy dust, or whatever the hell they've called it?
PCP,
angel dust.
PCP,
yeah.
Whatever. I mean, it's he knows more than he's saying.
I wish everyone would leave Chandler Jones alone.
Leave me alone.
You need to leave him alone because, everyone's give him a hard time.
Okay,
but listen, get off the guy's back. If you had to deal with Belichick as much as he does, you'd want to get higher than a kite the first chance you had to.
Yeah,
right?
I believe it.
So,
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but his brother, one of his brothers, is also in the NFL. His other brother is John Jones, who was the UFC light heavyweight champion for a while there, and he just recently got into this big thing where he got in trouble for doing cocaine and got in all kinds of trouble for drugs with the UFC. So it's really not something that's surprising to me at all. Because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I hang out with my brother, and I imagine they do too, and it's probably something they have in common. He should have probably been
the family
in a
that tokes together stays together.
Yeah. He probably should have been in that substance and abuse problem as soon as John Jones got busted and we had to go to rehab, just as precautionary because you knew it was coming.
well, okay. So, you have a brother, Dustin?
I do have a brother.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking of Ryan.
Oh, that's right. Right.
Ryan's the one without the brother. It's old,
We know it's funny.
old reference, guys.
What you don't know is that their dad just happens to be Davy Jones from the Monkees. So,
Oh dear.
believe it or not, it's true. Chandler Jones' dad, ladies and gentlemen.
Girl, look what you've done to me.
That's him right there. Yeah.
I think
Davy
their other
Jones.
brother, Mike Jones, the rapper, got his musical talent probably from his dad.
There you go. I mean, how
Is
could
it-
you not after that?
Is his dad Tom Jones?
It's not unusual to be
Right.
loved.
To take
Oh my
drugs with anyone. La, 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 la.
God. Not unusual to do
Nice.
spice with anyone.
Oh my God, Chris Carter. Yeah, man. What's your other story, Will? Hit us.
Well, I have some news from the NFC North that does not concern Blair Walsh. It does
Aw.
concern a rival of his, namely the Detroit Lions. This week, of course, they finally hired a new general manager, Bob Quinn. And a lot of people were speculating that, of course, new general manager wants to bring in his own coach. And former head coach Jim Caldwell would be on his way out. Well, apparently not. After spending a significant amount of time together, Quinn said, "It is clear that our football philosophies are very similar. It is clear to me that this team believes in him and responds positively to his leadership." So Jim Caldwell will remain Lions head coach, and to my way of thinking, that's the best news I've heard all week, because if Jim Caldwell is staying around, you know who else is staying around?
Oh, Jim Bob Cooter.
Jim Bob Cooter.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Break out the banjos.
You know it.
That just cracks me up because they were having issues winning. That's kind of their problem. And a lot of times coaching and GM that's a problem with it because they don't have the right players or they're not being coached right. So the new GM comes in. And he says,
Yes.
all right, say the new GM comes in and he says, yeah, we have very similar football philosophies. Like, that might be a red flag already because they've been losing.
So
But that
you
means
have
Jim
similar
Bob's staying around.
philosophies with the coach of a, 7-9 team, 6-10?
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Dustin. Hey, Dustin. Who's
Yeah.
that chick in Twilight that has absolutely no facial expression whatsoever? What's her name?
Kristen
Sandy, you know
Stewart.
this. What?
Kristen Stewart.
Yeah, see, I knew you know that.
Yeah.
Kristen Stewart. He's like, Caldwell's like the Kristen Stewart of the NFL. I mean, he has absolutely no. You're up by 20, you're down by 20, and he just kind of looks the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But thank God, Jim Bob gonna be around for a while. Thank God for Jim Bob Cooter.
Yep, I'm going to be coaching them Detroit Lions. I'm going to be coordinating their offense. I'm going to be sticking around and playing with that old Rod Stafford. And I'm going to be taking them to the playoffs.
Everybody go out for a pass. Yeehaw!
Them good old boys.
Oh man, Jim Bob Cooter.
Never
Thank
mean
God.
no harm.
Well, so Caldwell's safe. Thank God for that. Because, like you said, it's good news for all of us, I think. What's your final story this evening, Will?
Well, Moses, I think a lot of people, I know I was, were surprised to learn on Thursday that the 49ers had hired Chip Kelly to be their new head coach. My money was on Mike Shanarat, but okay. Having Chip Kelly in the division will make things interesting, but there's one person who is no doubt ecstatic over the hire, and it may not be the person you're thinking of. I'm thinking of
It's
Eagles
me.
owner Jeffrey Lurie. Because you see, when he hired Chip Kelly 3 years ago, he signed him to a 5-year, $32.5 million deal. So Kelly was getting $6.5 million a year, and he was going to keep getting $6.5 million a year if he did not coach. The language in the deal said, okay, if you don't, if you leave, if we fire you and you don't get another job, we have to pay you the rest of the contract.
Nice.
However, Adam Schefter reports that Kelly's deal with the 49ers is 4 years at $24 million. So if you figure an average of $6 million a year, he'll make $12 million over the next 2 years from the 49ers and only one from the Eagles. So Jeff Lurie just saved $12 million by this hire.
Wouldn't it be funny if we found out that Jeff Lurie paid like $3 million to the 49ers to do that? That would be awesome.
Sense.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I'm glad that he's... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I'm glad he's in the division now because he's another guy that's easy to not like.
Oh, yeah.
His personality bugs me. And Harbaugh, as much as we hated him, I kind of hated to see him go because he was fun to hate. And he was easy to hate. So,
if there's any coach that could restart this rivalry, it's Chip Kelly.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I agree.
My reaction to the Kelly hiring was pretty much this. Hallelujah! Thank you, San Francisco. That's right. And I would tell you, I told little Mo, true story. I came home, I heard at school that he was hired. I'm a teacher. I'm not a student. Okay, we'll get that clear. Okay. So I came home and I said, little Mo, I said, who is the one coach that we wanted to coach San Francisco? And he said, Chip Kelly. I said, exactly. So we all love that idea.
Nice.
Do we know what LaShawn McCoy said about it at all? Has he given a...
I think we know where about 5 free agents are not going to go. I think that's safe to say.
Well, we know he's not going to get rid of all the good black players because there aren't any good players on the team. So he's...
Oh!
Wow.
Oh my
Correct me.
God.
Hey, we play the NFC West plays the AFC East next year, and LaShawn McCoy is on the Bills. So
Nice.
This means LaShawn McCoy gets to play Chip Kelly again.
All right.
Thank you, NFL.
almost as if they planned it.
He says that he
more
brings
juice
his
than I thought he
pinky to
did.
his mouth, Dr. Evil style.
Yes, well, oh my God, that's just great news. Thanks, Will, so much.
Anytime, Moses?
Yeah, well, and one more quick story. Obviously the St. Louis Rams have officially decided to move to Los Angeles. And, I think with that move, they should change their team name. I know they were the LA Rams before, but it's time to start thinking the name of the team, something that has to do with where you live. I mean, look at the Utah Jazz. I mean, it makes no sense. They were the New Orleans Jazz. It was cool. When they moved to Utah, they should have changed their name. Baltimore left the Browns and they became the Ravens, which fit because of the connection with Poe. Minnesota was actually the Minneapolis Lakers before they went to LA. Minnesota and Lakes make sense. LA and Lakes don't. So I thought it would make more sense. And so with that, it is time for another edition of Finish That Phrase. Yes, this week we are going to finish the following phrase, which is, I think the new Los Angeles NFL team should be renamed what? So, gentlemen, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Will, I think the new Los Angeles NFL team should be renamed
The Kardashians, because that franchise is all ass and no class.
Nice.
Wow.
He wins.
Woo! You just won the internet. Matt, I think the new Los Angeles NFL team should be called what?
The LA Riots, because it's the only thing that I can think of that ever happens in LA.
The LA Rockets.
Ooh.
If they ever got a coach, J.C. Watts ever came back to be coach, that would be terrible.
Oh.
Dustin.
Here in the Rodney King stand, it's all going well over here in the stadium.
Oh my God. Dustin. Why can't we all get along? Dustin. I think the new Los Angeles NFL team should be renamed what?
The Los Angeles Boob Jobs, because everybody there has them.
All right.
And the
I
biggest
came up
boob
with-
is their head coach.
I came up with quite a few. I think the Los Angeles paparazzi would be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, the Los Angeles gridlock, which we always hear about. The traffic is a mess. The LA freeway. I mean, and here's a great classic movie with well, I guess it's classic now because we're all old. Steve Martin, The LA Story, which kids can look that up. And finally, the LA casting couches, I think, would be a good one. So sadly, they're going to stay with her.
I like LA Freeway because that team's not going anywhere either.
Well, LA gridlock, the LA traffic, that would work.
Well, when you originally posed the question to us, it was like, I think they should be called, and that's what you left it as. Originally I was going to put called often, just to make sure they're still there.
I threw the whole thing off, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
That's awesome.
Oh, and that was an awesome first quarter. We'll end the first quarter right there.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
Lots of shows still ahead. We play trivia at halftime. We preview the Panthers playoff game, but after hearing Statsman Mark's thoughts on the playoff game last week, it's the second quarter ahead, and we look back at the Seahawks playoff victory against the Minnesota Vikings right after this.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. And now it's time for a 12th Man Fan Jam 60-second rant.
You know you make me wanna
Rant.
I don't want to get off on a rant here.
Hey everybody, this is Statsman Mark. My thoughts on the Minnesota game, and first and foremost, we got to be happy we just got the win and barely escaped, really. And it was a very tough game to watch, both sides slugging it out. At the end of the game, we saw a familiar pattern with us failing to get 2 first downs to burn out the clock entirely. And we saw Minnesota be 1 kick away from winning this thing. And in the same way we were torched by the football gods in the Super Bowl, we got a reprieve and we get to move on. I'm hoping that Darrell Bevell can mix up his game plan moving forward for this Sunday. I noticed that it was a familiar pattern, not being able to get first and burn out the clock. But we ran the ball well enough, and we did just enough to win. And right now, I am just grateful that we are moving on to the divisional round. That's man Mark signing off.
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
Welcome to the second quarter as we take a look back at the Seahawks playoff victory in Minnesota so that they can advance in the playoffs this week to play the Carolina Panthers. Second quarter brought to you by our sponsor, the Beyonce School of Kicks. Just like Blair Walsh did, you can learn to kick from Beyonce because you kick to the left, baby.
Oh, dear.
Here it is. Oh, yeah.
Everything you kicked in the post to the left.
All right. Sorry.
I really
Had to
hope
do
somebody
it.
makes a video to that song.
Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. All right, let's talk about that playoff victory last week. We're going to start with Dustin. Dustin, what are your thoughts on leading up to that fateful kick, which we'll talk about in a minute, but what were your thoughts about the game?
About the game in particular or leading up to that play?
Just the game in general, I guess, leading up to that kick.
All right. Well, from the get-go, the first kickoff, I saw the ball traveling through the air, and it didn't look right. And then the runner coming out of the end zone, Patterson, when he caught it, I was like, yeah, he looked like he was running in snow almost. He was really slow.
Uh-huh.
And then immediately, I was like, oh, God, it's going to be one of those kind of games. It's really not going to go. It's going to be weird.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, man, tackling was weird in it. It's like they couldn't get low. Everybody was tackling high. The passes were off. I mean, the whole thing was just like whoever sucks less right now is gonna win. It's just
the weather had a much bigger effect than I think any of us. I don't know about the players, but any of us thought. I think.
Yeah.
No, it was ridiculous. I saw some Jordan Hill said where he was talking about when he was lined up a defensive tackle, how he had to really try and control his breathing because when he would breathe out, he couldn't see the ball. So if they snapped it with that cloud in front of the ball, he couldn't tell when to take off.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh my
it was just
god.
little weird things like that. But it was a win. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
I,
just,
and I
Go
gotta
ahead.
say this. I hate the fact that this game was played in these conditions. I hate that. I hated when I heard that New York was going to host the Super Bowl years before it happened, outdoors. I was furious because we lucked out. Okay, it was 50 degrees and beautiful, but then the next day there was a snowstorm. The idea to me, Will, of a Super Bowl being played in those conditions, or any playoff game being played where the weather's a factor, I hate that. Because they should be playing the two teams that got there. You fight all year to get there, and then the weather did have an effect in this game. It just bothers me that the weather can have that much an effect.
Well, and you saw the effect that it had, particularly on Russell Wilson. I mean, the long passes were just dying, and then you'd try to compensate for it by throwing harder, and then you'd overshoot people. And I've been to football. Coldest game I've ever been to. It had a wind chill of about 10 degrees when I was at Kansas City last year, and just I know when I get cold, when my hands get cold, my fingers just move like half as fast as they normally do. I have to concentrate on what I'm doing, and I can't even imagine trying to throw a football or anything like that when it's that cold.
gotta feel more like a shot put.
Yeah, it's just, and again, yeah, I think everybody downplayed what the weather was going to do, and I think for the Seahawks, you pretty much had to before the game. But yeah, it's fairly obvious how big a factor that was in this game.
Absolutely, it was like kicking a brick too. I can imagine. Matt, what were your thoughts on the game?
It was. I aged so much in this game. Everything was slower. Everything was slow. The thing is, though, is that over here we were like, it's -7. -7's not that bad. No, you idiots. It's Fahrenheit. It's -21.
Right.
So it's wake up, people. Who would play football or any sport for that matter, unless it was skiing or bobsleighing or ice skating or whatever, in conditions of -21? You wouldn't play football in a blast chiller. Wouldn't do it.
Well, Matt, if it had been a little bit colder, there wouldn't have been a problem for you guys, because doesn't Fahrenheit and Celsius reach the same point at -40?
Something like that. It gets to the point where we'd get there. I think the wind chill probably took it down to near that bit in the end.
But
it's
close.
At the end of the day, when you can see that all they can see, when you've got eyelids that are being stuck open with ice, when you've got it's not the right temperature to be playing football in, and there has to be a moment where somebody in the NFL says, actually guys, there's going to have to, and let's have some more rules, because let's face it, what the NFL is missing most at the moment is rules. So let's have some more rules that say, actually, can we set the temperature boundary limits, because there should be something that determines that, and equally for the heat as well, because you don't want players collapsing from overheating and dying because of that either. So let's get some rules in place about temperature as well. And if it can't be hosted in the stadium because of the temperatures that week, then either have the game on a Monday or a Tuesday or Wednesday when conditions improve. As far as the game is concerned, dull and frustrating and annoying and everything you don't want a wild card playoff game to be.
Yes, and some spectacular plays in that game. I mean,
there was a lot of fun plays.
Yeah, some spectacular plays. I want to toss this around, Dustin. I'll start with you. I can't remember when this happened, but Seattle was down about the 37, I think, and they went for it on 4th and 13.
Yeah, there was a 30-yard line.
Yeah, what was your thought about that?
Well, I said to my buddies, I was like, I can't hate on this decision right now. Yeah. I was like and it was because of what had been going on in the game. The snaps from Grisham were questionable at best.
Exactly.
The ball was cold. Everything was kind of messed up. The Russell Wilson was going to have to be the holder for that because John Ryan had got hurt. And I was like, you know what? Going for it's not a bad thing here.
I agree.
If you don't get it, oh well. You have them pinned back fairly decent in their own. I assume they're going to gain yards, but fairly decent in their own side of the field. So I couldn't hate on him. It's just one of those things where, again, the weather kind of made that happen. Yeah. And because John Ryan, that first punt that he went to do, man, that was slow. I loved his instincts where he took off. And then it's like he reverted back to in the summer when he went on American Ninja Warrior.
I know.
Yeah, totally.
Instead of going around, he's like obstacle, and he tried to jump over.
I thought he was going to make it. I really thought I was going to make it because there was no one there, and all of a sudden he I don't know what happened to him. Like you said, all of a sudden he just kind of, I don't know, talking about brain freeze, pardon the pun, but I thought, what's he doing?
Yeah, I said I always watch the games when we're doing the show, and I was watching it a little bit earlier, and I paused it for my wife, and I was like, look at this, because they had a great shot from behind John Ryan where it showed how everything was breaking down.
Right.
And you see there's 2 Minnesota Vikings on his left, and those guys have their backs turned to him because they're trying to block the guys going downfield. And then you have 3 Seahawks to his front, kind of offset to his right, and 1 Viking. I was like, all he has to do is take a left.
Exactly.
He's gonna get a first
Just take
down.
a left.
Yeah. It was funny. I'm glad he's okay.
That moment though, because when he went up in the end, that sort of when the whole world just sort of slows down for a second, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And he went up in the air, and I'm thinking, oh no, this is not
bad.
going to end well.
No.
And when you sort of see his face just smash into that gut, you're like,
oh god, yeah.
And
his whole
I just started
slide
laughing.
down.
And then
Me
it's
too.
almost like, that moment where you watch somebody fall over and you really want to be really upset for them, but at the same time you can't really help but laugh. And I sort of saw him hit the ground, and I sort of just started chuckling to myself. I was like, you'll never do that again. I mean,
and meanwhile, Dustin is yelling, "Come on, Ryan! Move, Ryan, move!"
This game was all about the left. As a matter of fact, another play about the left. You remember Russell Wilson on that botched snap where he throws his mouthpiece in, he turns around, grabs the ball, he's running, he threw it to his left. Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
And there was something I heard this week about that game that Russell Wilson had said, or about that play Russell Wilson said, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but Daniel O'Neill from ESPN was asking him in the hallway, I guess, for the interview, what was going through your mind on that play? And Russell was like, well, it brought me back to baseball. It reminded me of being a second baseman or whatever, and there's a blooper over your head. He's like, because the mechanics were the same. He's like, it goes over your head, you turn around and you run, and you want to put yourself past the ball so you can turn around and take a look at what's going on the infield. And then once you see what's going on in the infield, you know where to go with the ball. Mm-hmm. He's like, and if you watch that play, first of all, he throws his mouthpiece in as he's running back to the ball. And then he slides, and as he's sliding, he turns around and looks downfield to see what's going on. Then he picks the ball up and then runs and throws it relatively quickly to Tyler Lockett because he sees the whole thing break down. That's one of those things where that dual sport athlete they can relate to that situation, because how many quarterbacks are going to think to do that? They're not going to go past the ball. They're just going to dive on it and wait.
They're going to dive on it. Yeah, I agree.
So
I agree. When I saw him turn to the left, I thought he was going to throw it out of bounds, which was fine. I'm like, just toss it in the third row. But when he squared up and moved to, I went, oh, he's somebody's open. I knew something good was going to happen when he threw it across the middle, because he wouldn't throw it across the middle unless he was 100% sure it was okay. And he did. And I thought, wow. I mean, I knew it was going to be something good when that happened.
Yeah, he's not a Brett Favre. He's not just going to sling it for no reason.
Definitely not. Well, guys, it came down to that field goal, whether you want to like it or not.
We skipped one big play, though.
What's that?
Air Baldwin.
Yeah, we did.
Man, that was freaking amazing. When that happened, my kids were like, he Odell'd it.
Odell Beckham Jr., eat your heart out.
Yeah.
And Doug has better hair, too. I just want to throw that out there.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
That's
a little better
play.
attitude. Yeah.
He's so pedestrian.
Doug has kind of solidified himself, in my opinion, as a certifiable NFL receiving threat. I think we're done playing games here. I think he's shown all season. Now, I know he's had a great second half, and he has, but I think he's already solidified himself as a legitimate threat you have to account. He's so smart with the way he runs his routes, the way he does his double moves, the way he does all the things that he does. He's been doing this for years. I think it's time everyone just needs to shut up about, I don't have a big play receiver. Just shut up. We've got a legitimate receiving threat in 89, and I think that's the end of the story.
I disagree. I think it's very pedestrian. I want him angry. I want him to keep angry. So I think it was an incredibly pedestrian catch.
So if you're listening, Doug.
I disagree. He's been saying all year that he's kind of taken that chip off his shoulder, and I think it's actually helped him.
Oh, really?
So I think he's not as angry as he was. I think he's just more determined.
Yeah.
Determination looks good on him.
Whatever his frame of mind is, I want that. That's what I need to keep, whatever that might be.
I don't think he's ever going to get labeled as a number one receiver.
No.
When they talk about that, he's not a true number one. That's fine. He's still scoring touchdowns and
I'll take him.
First
Third down
receiver we had.
conversions.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll take him.
I'll take effective over number one. I don't care about who's number one. I care about who's effective.
Exactly.
But the whole of that receiving core it feels really efficient to me at the moment. It just feels like Baldwin, Curse, Lockett. It all works. It just seems to fit exactly what we're playing, which is awesome.
Exactly, I agree.
Go on then,
I think Lockett was the final piece.
Take us to the promised land. Take us to that last moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, another part of the weather that kind of hurt a little bit. They tried to force it to Curse a couple times on the left side. First quarter, I think. Maybe second quarter, and the sun was in his face. They threw it to him in 2 plays where he couldn't even see the ball.
Right.
Like, oh, man, come on, guys.
I noticed that. So, the final kick. I'll tell you my story and watch with Little Mo. And Little Mo keeps telling me, we get the ball back. I'm like, yeah, we're going to get the ball back with about 20 seconds left. He goes, we're going to get the ball back. I said, yes, we are. We'll have any timeouts. We're looking at maybe 3, maybe 4 plays if we're lucky. But we're going to get the ball back. I said, yes, we just kept saying that. And so we're standing there, and we do what we usually do, wave our hands, MIS, SIT, miss it. And then, like on Caddyshack, when he started to putt, and they all went, ah! That's what we do. Right when he kicks it, we go, ah! Of course, it never works. And then the ball goes flying to the left, and he and I screamed at the TV. We turned, we screamed at each other. We jumped in each other's arms and bounced for about 5 minutes. It was hysterical. Will, you were with a lot of people in Canada. What was that reaction like?
We were all holding hands, watching the kick, leaning, just eyes glued to the TV. But just for myself, I was thinking, you know what? We blew this game.
Yeah.
We had it. We let it slip away because I didn't think there was a chance in hell that he was going to miss it.
I did too.
I was waiting for flags. Is what I was waiting for. I was waiting for a flag to be thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened and ruined the whole moment. But the thing is that for me again, it's that slow motion moment. It's like the ball's up, and why is it going in that direction? That's not the normal direction I was expecting that ball to go in at all.
It's going left, but it'll blow back right or something. It'll break my heart.
Perhaps it's the camera angle. Perhaps it's just the fact that I'm looking at this from a camera angle that's making it look odd. But no,
he's trying to bend it like a soccer player is what he's trying to do.
But what was really, and I have to say, I sort of felt watching all the videos of the reaction, and if anyone hasn't, go and watch all the reaction videos from this game because it is something to see. But some of them actually are really quite sad. And the one that got me was the 2 people who were in the crowd in the stadium. From their angle, it doesn't look like it misses.
Right.
So they're like for like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. They've won.
That would really
they've won
hurt.
the world.
Yep.
They've beaten Seattle, and that crushing moment when they suddenly work out that it's not worked.
No.
Is just painful. And as a fan of a team that's consistently screwed by refs and everyone else, you sort of have that sort of gut moment. It's like, oh God, I feel for you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I like the Vikings
Absolutely.
as well. So
I can't even look at those reaction videos because I remember how I was feeling 11 months ago.
Yeah,
right.
That 1
after
yard.
a certain interception, and it's like I cannot take joy in these people's pain. Okay, it's just that had to just hurt like hell.
It felt a little dirty, to be honest with you, but I mean, I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I don't feel that bad about it, but I'm not
I'll
going to
take
revel in how bad they're feeling.
Man, I was watching that the whole time with the way this team is and the way things go with this team. I was kind of doing like Lil Mo was like, okay, we're going to get the ball back. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. I'm going through this in my head, just assuming he's going to make it. And I was hanging out with about 10 or 12 people. And then he kicks it and it doesn't go through. And man, that place erupted. Just yelling and screaming and jumping, everybody hugging and high-fiving. And it was like, we're still in it. It's not over. Season's not over. Because that's exactly what everybody expected.
Of course.
Dude. And I think what had the biggest impact on that, aside from the weather, was the field goal before that, where Richard Sherman damn near blocked it.
That's what I was going to say. I think that maybe that affected it a little bit.
Yeah,
Well,
Pete Carroll.
He definitely was. The whole kick was definitely faster than their normal kick time. And if you look at his plant foot is too far forward as a result.
It's
Yes.
close
So
to the ball.
the mechanics of that kick were just bad from
And
start
there was
to
no
finish.
timeout to chill him out, so they had to go out there, kick the field goal, and just go. And even though they had time, I think they called time right before it. But still, I think that was part of it.
Well, icing the kicker in weather like that's kind of overkill. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, no doubt.
One of my close friends here is a diehard Viking fan. Great guy named Alvin, Big A. And I call him Big A. He's about Dustin's size. But anyway, Big A's.
Okay.
We were texting occasionally during the game, and he said, "We're about to turn it over. This was the last drive." And I go, uh-huh. He goes, "Every time we're in a spot to take command, it happens." I go, "Okay." He goes, "Whoa." And this is right after the tight end play where they got down to the 20. He said, "That bad tight end coming back to haunt you." He said, "I'm leaving the room. Can't watch this. Going to be blocked, miss, or Hail Mary." And he says, "Congrats, man." I said, "Dear God, thanks." And he says, "Vikings never fail to live up to failing. Never."
Oh.
So he has always kind of been that way this year because I said, I play in the playoffs. He goes, "It doesn't matter. We'll find a way to lose." I mean, he's just been that way all year with this team because they're young and they're just now literally getting in this, they are where we were about 5 years ago. You know what I mean? They're trying to find their way. They got good young talent, developing young talent. They're going to be around for a while. So I don't feel too bad for them because I think this isn't their last time.
And good for them because I'm sick of the Packers, quite frankly.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Zimmer was an defensive coordinator down here in Cincinnati, and he's a fantastic guy. He should have been a coach 10 years ago. So I think they've got the right coach. I think they've got the right people. I wish them the best as long as they're, losing to us in the playoffs. I'll be happy. Okay.
Go on then. Let's get on with it.
Yeah. So we're going to go down we're going to finish this quarter with our top 3 reasons. I have found a lot of reasons why Blair Walsh missed this kick. Was it Sherman? Was it whatever? I've actually found 3 real reasons why Blair Walsh missed this kick in the Viking playoff game, okay? Number 3, the Vikings tore down his grandma's home to build their new stadium. So he's a little angry about that. The number 2 reason why Blair Walsh missed this kick, he said this. He grumbled this as he was going out to the field. "Make me give Adrian Peterson a foot massage before every game. I'll make them pay." And the number 1 reason why Blair Walsh missed the kick in the Viking game, wanted to give Viking fans something bigger to talk about than 4 Super Bowl losses. So, that being said, it's time to caption that picture. As usual, we take a picture from every game, and this is a very funny picture of our coach, Carroll. He looks rather excited, or I don't know, you can make up your mind. Will, caption that picture for me.
I know I shouldn't have put my tongue on the flagpole, but John Snyder triple dog dared me.
That's great. That's great.
That's it right there.
Will wins internet. That's amazing.
Will wins the internet. Matt, can you caption that picture?
No, not anywhere near as good as Will's just done it.
Give it a shot. Caption that picture.
Yeah.
I was going to say, ooh, John, now is not the time for Ninja Warrior.
Nice.
Dustin, caption that picture.
I will. I also feel inadequate after listening to what Will's was.
I know.
I went with,
I get that a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so last week on NFL's The Frozen Player.
Nice.
So, Walking Dead reference.
Very nice. Yeah, Will makes us feel inadequate. I know. I have a couple, and I'm going to go for the blue joke this week. First one is not. Head coach Pete Carroll spent the whole rest of the first quarter regretting that he put that water bottle up to his mouth for such a long time in the cold weather. So,
Ouch.
Yeah. And the other one is a little bit worse. Pete Carroll saying, "Oops. Well, now my other nut just froze and broke off." All right.
Uh-oh.
Yep. All right. Let's recap our predictions. We are keeping score of our predictions this season. Game balls to get 3 points. Prognostications 3. Predictions on the button 5 points. One team 3 points. If nobody a point. Here we go. Score predictions. Dustin 21-9 in a 10-9 game. That's outstanding. Got the opposing team's points on the button and got overall score. Way to go. Prognostications. Both Mark and I said that Adrian Peterson would have under 70 and 60 yards rushing. He did. Lynch didn't play for a couple of you. Matt. Game balls.
Shut up.
Obviously not Lynch. I gave it to Baldwin and Wilson, even though really, it wasn't their best games, but they made some pretty outstanding plays. Unfortunately, Cooper Helfrich, Matt, was nowhere to be seen, so I apologize. Scores this week: Dustin 7, Moses 6, Mark 3. Look at the scores overall. We got a tie at the top. Will and Dustin duking it out as we go into the stretch and head for home. With me at 38, Guest at 36, Mark at 34, Matt at 19. Okay.
Shut up.
Matt,
It's okay, Matt.
stop
Trivia's
participating.
coming.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
Shut up.
Let's go get ready for that trivia. Let's get ready for the best Seahawk-themed trivia show on the internet you can play along with. It's time for another can't-miss edition of 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia. Coming up next.
Hey, this is Matt, all the way from merry old England, and you're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia with your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity. Yes, thank you, me, and welcome to another edition of 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia, the game where you, the listener and viewer, can play along with the posse while I subject them to trivia questions based on the Seahawk opponents. This week, our contestants are the posse themselves, Matt, Will, and Dustin, and here are the rules. So here's how the trivia game works. There will be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there will be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tied players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia Champion and gets to have a special 60-second rant between the first and second quarter of the very next episode of the 12th Man Fan Jam Show. As an added bonus to those listeners on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen, so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well if you wish. If you'd like to play along, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline for each of the contestants. Before the taping of this show, my 2 charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take this quiz. And if the contestants want to know what the kids said, they may ask that only once during the entire game show and only during the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia. Okay, rules have been laid out. Remember that you can ask Mosette and Little Mo once per show. I want to remind you that. So let's get ready to play the game. Two rounds of 1 question each, so 3 questions. We will start with Matt. Matt, what question would you like? Would you like number 1, number 2, or number 3?
Number 3, please.
Matt goes with number 3. Dustin?
2.
Dustin goes with 2. Will, what do you think? 1, 1, or 1? Think about it a second.
1.
Are you sure you want to go with 1?
That is my final answer, yes.
All
Sorry,
right.
wrong trivia show.
That's very, very clever. All right. Oh, by the way, there is 1 question out of the 6 that is related to North Carolina. So I'll just say that, North Carolina. The rest of them are actually questions about the Seahawks and teams that they played in the playoffs. First round is in the playoffs. But one question between the 6, between 2 rounds. 1 question is North Carolina based. But Will, your first question is not. It is a football question, and it is this.
Okay.
The Seahawks had the most offensive total yards against what team in the playoffs? What team did they have the most offensive yards ever? Was it the Falcons, the Saints, or the Rams? Will, get some Oregon, buddy. Falcons, Saints, or Rams? What team did the Seahawks have the most offensive total yards against in the playoffs? I'll give you a clue. They're 1, 2, and 3, by the way. Falcons, Saints, and Rams.
I figured as much.
Yeah.
I gotta go Beastquake. I'm gonna go Saints.
He's going to go Beastquake.
What I was thinking.
Yeah.
You're all thinking that. Little Mo said Atlanta. Mosette said the Rams. I'm sorry. It is the Falcons at 491.
Really?
That was
Yeah,
close. What was
Russell
Beastquake?
threw.
Beastquake was 415, 415. Rams were 413.
Yeah, because I knew Russell had 380 yards passing in Atlanta. I just didn't think we had much running yards. But oh well.
Yep, blew him up. All right. Number 2, which goes to Dustin. Dustin, you have a football question. The Seahawks ran for the most total yards in the playoffs against what team? What team did they rack up the most total yards running? Is it against the Packers, the Raiders, or the Redskins? Again, also 1, 2, and 3. Packers, Raiders, or Redskins, what team did the Seahawks run for the most total yards against in the playoffs?
That's tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
It's tough. Packers, Raiders, Redskins. Most running yards in a playoff game for the Seahawks.
I'll say Raiders without any real rhyme or reason to it.
No reason.
Kills say Raiders.
Raiders.
Mosette said Packers. Little Mo said Redskins. Yeah, it was the Redskins. 224.
I got that wrong as well.
224. Raiders 205. Packers 194. All right. Last question this round goes to Matt.
Hello.
Matt,
Yes.
you have a football question. So
okay.
Next round will be the North Carolina question. And your question is this: what playoff team has the most turnovers against the Seahawks in a playoff game? Most playoff turnovers against the Seahawks in a playoff game. Would that be the Panthers, the Raiders, or the Dolphins? Most turnovers against the Seahawks in a playoff game. Was it the Panthers, Raiders, or Dolphins?
Pretty sure we should know this.
5.
Dolphins.
Dolphins, 5. Well, Little Mo said the Panthers. Mosette said the Raiders. You said the Dolphins. I don't know how you do this. How do you do this? 5 by the Dolphins. The other 2, 4. So
Which game against the Dolphins was that?
it was
AFC,
like I think it was the game
divisional
they
round?
beat. I think it was the game that either we beat them in '83 or the game in '99. I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't
did not
know.
write
I
down
just
the
guessed. So put asking
But
me.
I thought
Yeah.
Panthers because I knew in that NFC Championship game we
They
had
had-
3 interceptions.
they
for
had
sure.
4 turnovers. Yeah, they had 4 turnovers. Okay, then around 1, Will and Dustin at 0, Matt at 1. So of course Matt gets to pick 4, 5, or 6. Matt
5.
5. Will,
4.
you want to go with 6, Dustin? You have a choice.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I do.
Here we go. Question 4 goes to Will, and it's a football question. Will, do you remember Tony Romo in the playoffs in Seattle did something, mishandled a snap maybe on a field goal attempt? Do you remember that 2007?
Yeah, that's why I spent the next 6 years with a shaved head. So yes, I do remember.
Okay, here's my question. Who was the Dallas Cowboy place kicker? Was it Nick Folk, Bill Grammatica, or Martin Grammatica? Who was the kicker for the Cowboys in that moment?
Martin Grammatica.
Martin Grammatica. Mosette said Bill. Little Mo said Martin. You said Martin. It is Martin, yes!
I love that name.
And
But
Will's
that
on
was
the
the-
board.
Battlestar Grammatica. It's amazing.
Nice. Battlestar Grammatica. Question 5 goes to Matt. Matt,
Yes.
you have a North Carolina question.
I know nothing about this state. Go on then.
You're not going to know who these people are either. All right. Which of the following comedians, American comedians,
Oh, God.
was born and raised in North Carolina? Is it Steve Carell, Will Ferrell, or Zach Galifianakis?
I know who Will Ferrell is, but I don't think he was. I didn't know about North Carolina.
You know
Born
Zach
and raised in North
Galifianakis,
Carolina.
too.
Steve Carell, Will Ferrell, or Zach Galifianakis?
I'm going to have to rely upon the education of the children on this.
All right, the kids. Mosette said Steve Carell, and Little Mo said Zach Galifianakis.
Galifianakis is from Hangover, and Steve Carell's from Daily Show with Jon Stewart.
Yeah. I'm sure that's very helpful to you.
It doesn't help.
I'm just helping. I'm helping.
It doesn't help.
didn't
I'll
think
go
so.
with the funny named one, the whatever the longest name. What was that
Like
name?
Galifianakis?
That's the dude. I'll go with that one.
Zach Galifianakis?
Yep.
Matt's
I
a
don't know
one-man
how.
wolf pack.
In the name of God.
Matt's a one-man wolf pack.
Zach Galifianakis. Matt's 2 for 2. And I'm going to stop doing the trivia. I'm not nigga stuck now.
Can I just say again to everybody listening?
Yes.
I do not know what these answers.
No,
what
he
these questions
does
are.
not. He
Obviously.
does not.
Obviously.
He needs a
No
handicap of some sort. I don't know what.
I have a
Oh,
handicap.
my
It's
God.
called Dustin.
I'm going to check my computer. I think you're spying on me. All right. Well, Will, you can tie him here.
Oh, nice.
Well, no, because I already answered for the.
Oh,
for
no,
the-
that's right. I'm
Dustin's
sorry.
thing.
You cannot tie him.
I
Dustin, you
can
can get
tie
on the
Will.
board, though.
Yeah.
All right, Dustin can get on the board. I apologize. Dustin?
What if I forfeit my question to Will and we both get to talk about it just so we can beat Matt?
Sorry, that is not allowed.
Suck it
dang
up,
it.
Dustin. You can do it.
All right, Dustin, get on the board here. How many
All right.
turnovers did the Panthers have against the Seahawks last year in the playoff game? Was it 1, 2, or 3? How many turnovers did Carolina have against the Seahawks last year in the playoffs? 1, 2, or 3?
I think it was 2.
He thinks it was 2. Are you going to go with 2?
Yeah,
All right.
because that's what I think it is. So.
That's what he thinks is. Mo said 1. Little Mo said 2. It's 3.
Ah.
3 turnovers. So, we're at 1, 2, and 3, which means we won't have an overtime. And it's very simple who goes first. Dustin goes first, Will goes second, and Matt goes third. And the final question, as usual, is going to be a number. The closest one without going over gets 2 points and is our champion. Oh, boy, here we go. All right.
We could have an overtime. What if I win?
Well, if you tie, yeah. But like I said, we won't have an overtime. All right.
Is Blair Walsh asking the questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll still get the ball back. We'll still get the ball back. I know.
To
You'll
the
get
left,
the ball
to the
back.
left,
All
to the
right.
left.
Yeah. All right, here we go. The question is this. Oh, I hope Dustin wins now. Here we go. The final question, Dustin.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, if everybody's over, whoever's closest gets it. Okay. Dustin, how many total rushing yards did the Seahawks have in last year's victory over the Panthers? In last year's victory over the Panthers, how many total rushing yards did the Seahawks have?
126.
Dustin goes 126. Will?
I'm going to go 132.
132. Matt?
It's a Panther, so it was going to be one. You're high. You feel high to me. I'm going to go.
Because
Who
we're
are
in
you,
Washington.
who are
Who's
you
legal
feeling?
here?
It smells synthetic to me with the sprinkling of angel dust.
132, 126 so far.
I'll go 85.
He's going to go 85. All right.
Go low,
132.
or go home.
126 or 185. Gentlemen, the...
185. Yes, Matt said 185.
No, he said 85. Nice try.
Hang it.
I was going to say, I did not.
The number of yards that the Seahawks ran against the Panthers in the playoffs last year,
Last week.
was 100, which means... Guess what?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
100 even.
He did it again. I don't even know how many in a row this is for Matt.
Well, I've had
feel
a
like
couple of
I
weeks
won
off.
last time. Of course, Matt wasn't
That's
playing,
right,
but
Matt
I
wasn't
still
here.
won.
I had a couple of weeks off, so, you know.
It's not
Unbelievable.
even mad anymore. This is just kind of amusing now.
Oh my god. This is
I'm
just...
not amused.
Perhaps next week. I tell you what. Perhaps
This is
next week.
boring.
Why don't next week? Why don't I read the questions and Dennis can play?
I
Yeah, I would
think
probably
you
still
read
get them
that
wrong.
right.
I could hand them to you, and I'd still get them wrong.
I,
Oh my god.
I think Matt has earned that right to kind of run trivia however he wants.
We're going to start calling it Matt's Halftime Trivia. I think that's what we're...
Yeah.
All right. My God. What an amazing...
I'm gonna have to start giving Belichick-style post-trivia interviews, aren't I?
I know. You're like the
Rest
Hall of
off the
Fame of trivia. Good. Unbelievable. Oh, answer the question. That's what- You know, I don't even... here's the thing. I queue up everyone's music. I don't have to. I just need one. An amazing...
The 1 week you say that, somebody else is going to win, though. You
I know,
realize
and
it.
I'll be like, oh my god, I got to cue up music. What an amazing, award-winning version of Halftime Trivia, if you're Matt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Lord.
such-
Coming up, we're going to talk about the upcoming playoff game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Carolina Panthers. Maybe with Matt. I'm
Masterclass
sure
of
Matt will be
guesswork.
around because he's won trivia, so he's back in the show. We'll be right back right after this.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Time to musk up. Wow. Never ceases to amaze me. She gets a special cologne. It's called Sex Panther by Odeon. It's illegal in 9 countries. Yep. It's made with bits of real panther. So you know it's good.
It's quite pungent.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, it's a formidable scent. It stings the nostrils. In a good way.
Yeah. They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, let's go see if we can make this little kitty purr.
It's the third quarter, bitches.
Yes, welcome back to the second half of episode 325 of your 12-Man Fan Jam show. Little kitty from President of the United States of America. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some kitty cats. In this quarter, we're going to talk about injury stats and lines for the Seahawks in their upcoming playoff game against the Panthers. President of the United States of America from Seattle, I believe, are they not?
They are.
Yes. So a little kitty song there for the kitty cats.
Did they have a song called Peaches?
Yeah,
They
they
do.
certainly do.
Yep. Another great
good.
song.
And Lump.
Yep.
All the same album. Great album, if you can get that. All right, enough kitty from the President of the United States of America. Let's talk about this game. Tail of the tape, when Seattle has the ball, you see it in front of you. The 4th-ranked offense against the 6th-ranked defense. And then when Carolina has the ball, it's the 11th-ranked offense against the 2nd-ranked defense. Number 1 scoring offense against number 1 scoring defense. Matt, what are some injuries in this game that are going to be very important?
Well, following on from last week, as I am Chief Fake Medical Officer of the team, I can honestly say the first casualty was a whiteboard that got wiped out by Pete Carroll. And we had to put that back together again. There were screws everywhere. It was like a car crash. There was bits everywhere, and I'm not sure whether I don't know whether that whiteboard's going to pull through, guys. I tell you, I don't know whether that's. We might have to get a new one. In terms of people, there's a few frostbite injuries. Give a couple of warm cups of tea to people, sorted them out. They're fine. Luke Wilson's going to be back. Michael Bennett's fine. Marshawn Lynch got on the plane, although that was a bit touch and go at times, but we got there with him in the end. And Taka Afuku is out. Probably
Who
with
is
a
that
hamstring.
again?
Will Taka Afuku.
Can you do that with a French accent, please?
Whoa.
It's the actual proper pronunciation of that in French.
Huh.
Oh, really? It means big man that can block.
Big man
Dennis
with
wouldn't
ball.
know that
And
because we've
catch.
all heard his French accent. So
Big man with ball. That's what it says.
Okay. Thank you, Running with Deer. Okay.
Yep. Also, I'm now off to dance with wolves. I'll be back later.
All right.
Let them lead.
And of course, the big news. I should tell this story because we record this show on a Friday night. And last Friday night, we recorded this show. And right before we start, Dustin says, oh, they didn't see Marshawn get on the plane. And we're like, well, what's the source? Well, it's this lady that's a photographer for the local. Well, you know what? We're like, oh, it's some lady that's a photographer. She don't know what she's talking about.
women don't know things.
I did not say that. She's a photographer.
I just wanted
sure, always tell
corroboration,
part of
and
the
at that
story.
point, we didn't have any.
Yeah, exactly. But then, of course, we did the show when we get off the air, and the first thing I hear is, oh, Marshawn didn't fly to the game. So, but supposedly he got on the bus here. He flew. He said, I'm ready. How ready he'll be, Dustin? What kind of effect will he have on this game?
Oh, it'll have a huge effect. I mean, that's a huge boost with that dude coming back. His effect is so big that even though he wasn't going to play last week, I was disappointed he wasn't at least on the sidelines being there for the team, because that guy, people feed off him. And, he goes and he talks to people in between plays, on the sidelines. So having him out there, especially if he's probably the most fresh running back in the league right now.
Probably.
Still playing. So having that dude out there and with the way he runs and with the aggression he runs with I'm sure how much he wants to win, dude, it is huge. And the whole team's going to feed off that. He breaks off one of those big runs where he knocks a couple people on their butts and embarrasses them in front of their home crowd. The offense is going to feed off that. The defense is going to feed off that.
Yeah.
And, dude, it's going to be awesome. He has the potential to have just a huge impact on this game just by being there.
I agree. Will, I think he pretty much summed it up, didn't he?
Pretty much. Last week, I'm not terribly shocked looking back that Lynch didn't play last week. I am shocked that he didn't even get on the plane. I never would have seen that coming, so I'm glad he actually is traveling with the team this time. There was actually on Twitter, all the local reporters were gathered outside team headquarters next to the bus. Yeah. Bus watch 2016. And like, where is Lynch? Is Lynch coming? And sure enough, he did. But it's going to be interesting to see how what they do with Lynch, because obviously we've got him back, and obviously we're going to play him if he can go, which it's looking like he's going to. It wouldn't surprise me though, again, if it's a game like we've seen in the past where Lynch doesn't necessarily start, but gets in there after. I think we'll see a bit more back and forth between Kristen Michael and Marshawn Lynch to start the game, and then whoever's most effective, I think they'll go with that guy.
I think so too.
But just having Lynch back, just knowing that the Panthers have to account for him, that's going to open things up even for Michael, even when Lynch isn't in the game. So
absolutely,
it's going to be big.
One of the things that I thought, I'm sorry to cut in, but one of the things I thought about with Lynch, with the reason that he may not have gone, may not be as sinister as people were thinking. The fact is that if you're coming off abdominal surgery, if you're coming off any surgery, you don't want to be standing around for 3.5 hours in minus 21 degree temperatures.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not coming off of surgery, and I don't want to be standing around in minus 21 degree temperature. So I don't blame him.
If you knew he wasn't going to be fit enough to plan, if you told the coaches that, and actually everyone knew what the temperatures were going to be. They were reporting these temperatures a week in advance of what they were going to be, so everyone knew what it was going to be. So if I was Marshawn Lynch, I'd probably say, you know what, guys, I'm just not going to go because I want to be fit for the following game. I'm an optimist. I always look for the optimist. If you look at the other stories that are out there about the fact that he's got a huge run-in with the team and he hates everybody and it's all gone, it's another Mike Freeman story.
No.
If you believe all of that stuff, then fine. But I'm gonna go hopefully on a more positive note. I hope that it was a case of I don't want to be standing around for 3.5 hours in minus 21 degree temperatures.
Yeah, I don't believe any of that for a second.
I was disappointed that he didn't go stand around in those temperatures, even if he wasn't playing, though, because think about it like this: if nothing else, that's like one big ice pack for your body. You can be there and still recover.
But Dustin, I here's the thing with Marshawn that I think, and I don't know. We're just schleps on a YouTube channel. We don't know, but and that's our new motto, by the way. 12th Man Fan Jam Show, schleps with a microphone. But anyway, one thing I seem to see from Marshawn is that he cares very deeply for his teammates. You know, and I think and no one came out and second guessed him. There wasn't a lot said about it. I think this is something that the team knew, or at least the players. I think Marshawn cares about his teammates enough not to just say on Friday, hey, guess what, guys, I'm not going with you. I think this was something that they knew. And I think we all overreact. We see him practice, we get excited. Everyone gets excited, he's full participation in practice, and then all of a sudden he doesn't show up. I'm not so sure that you can prove to me that the team didn't know on Tuesday or Wednesday that he wasn't going to go. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I don't have any reason to believe that, just the fact that I don't think he would turn his back on his team the day of a flight.
You sound like Chris Carter. Are you sure it wasn't synthetic practices?
Well, it was synthetic practice. I'm not saying I'm an expert.
Did a bit of angel dust.
But we put some angel dust in there. We're good. All right.
No, I see your point, though. I see your point.
Yeah. Dustin, something has interesting happened with the point spread, which is related to Marshawn. And I don't know if you checked it right before we recorded on Friday night. But
about an hour before.
Yeah, and what was the point spread that you saw?
It was Carolina favored by 2 points.
Right. I saw it at 2.5. And right before we went to air on Friday night, it dropped to 1.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, I guess the idea that Marshawn getting on the plane is a big deal to a lot of people with putting money down.
Maybe so.
So that effect he's having for sure. And do you think that's justified? I mean, and 1, 2 points. I mean, we're not going to split hairs. Obviously, 3 points goes to the home team.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that legitimate, Dustin? I mean, is he that big of an influence?
I think he is, and it's the little things. Like I said, I was watching the game earlier with my wife before we started. I was watching the first half, and there was just some little plays that I noticed watching the game. I'm like, oh, if Marshawn is in there, that doesn't happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that's it's completely tangible, because there was a play where Kristen Michael took off to the left side. He had a linebacker coming in from his right side. So he saw that guy coming. He's past the line of scrimmage. He saw the guy coming. Could have beat him if he had stiff-armed him, like Marshawn would. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kristen Michael saw the guy coming. He just covered the ball up and ducked his head like, don't fumble, don't fumble, don't fumble.
Right.
And Marshawn Lynch sees that guy coming. He's putting it in his left hand and stiff-arming the guy to get some extra yards. You know, there's just these little things that he does that we don't have anybody on the roster right now that can do it.
But
so I think
to talk about your example, though, Dustin, I think that was the right call. I mean, you got a guy in Kristen Michael who has had fumbling problems, and you're in a game where one turnover could really screw you. So I think that's more Michael being smart more than not being able to.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that is the difference between the backs. Kristen Michael understands that situation. He knows his history, and he knows what he has to do to be productive. His type of productive is different than Marshawn Lynch's productive, and how they get to those spots are different, is all I'm saying. Marshawn Lynch is better overall, and he can do things that other players can't do, is what I'm saying.
Well, and I hate to agree with Chris Collinsworth, but he did say at one point in that game, I think it was, I know, there was like a 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 4, and he said, this is where you miss beast mode, and he's right.
Yeah.
On 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 4, where it's kind of a tweener. Am I going to throw? If I have beast mode, am I going to throw, or am I going to hand it off? And with beast mode, I think a 3rd and 3rd and 4 is legitimate to hand off to beast mode. And he's right. And I thought, he made a good point here. This is where we miss him. We miss him in those little tweener downs where we may throw or we may run, knowing if we run with Marshawn, we're going to get maybe 3 or 4 yards. It made a difference. I think he makes a difference in that way as well.
And it affects the defense's positions as well, because now they've got to account for him. They've got to account for him. Now, they haven't seen a lot of him this year either. Let's be fair. He's spent a lot of time away being fixed up. So but that equally at the same time as Marshawn Lynch coming back, you've got Baldwin running hot. So you've got to cover him now. You've got Tyler Lockett who can outsprint anyone on your team. You've got to cover him now. You've got Russell Wilson who's going to duck and run and go for a 10-yarder anytime he wants to. You've got to watch out for him. And you've now got Marshawn Lynch. So all we're missing really is Jimmy Graham, and we'd have the full set going. So,
oh my God.
It would be amazing. So I think this is going to be a really interesting game for the defense of the Panthers.
I think so too. What's the over-under there, Dustin?
Let me double check here. I walked away from my paper. I believe it's 44. Let me check one more time.
44.
44. It is indeed 44.
44. Will, how do you feel about 44?
I think it's going to be a bit more high scoring than our last few games to Carolina. It wouldn't surprise me if we end up going over. And I feel bad for anybody who took the over last week, but this week it's a better bet.
Yeah.
I agree. And of course, Matt, over under, your thoughts?
Sorry, I was rewatching that kick again, but just going off the left, it was amazing.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
So did I. Well, the last 3 times we've been in Carolina, the total scores between both teams were 28, 19, and 22. So I'm not so sure. And then at CenturyLink, the last couple times they played, the scores combined were 48 and 50. When they're in Carolina, they just don't score a lot of points, to be honest with you. And one thing that bodes well for us as far as that goes and their score, last time we played, Bobby Wagner wasn't playing.
That's right.
Frank Clark wasn't playing. Jeremy Lane wasn't playing.
That's right.
Terry Williams was playing.
Yeah, and that's true.
That makes a big difference.
That makes a huge difference. No doubt about it.
I think I'd go the under.
Yeah. Well, we'll see who goes over and under in the next quarter. Let's go ahead and get ready for the fourth quarter.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
Coming up next, predictions, prognostications, and game balls for the upcoming playoff game between your Seattle Seahawks and the Carolina Panthers. Right after this quick station identification and an audio rant from Statsman Mark and prediction. Remember, you are listening and watching the 12th Man Fan Jam show. Never give up, never surrender. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam. on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. And now it's time for a 12th Man Fan Jam 60-second rant.
You know you make me wanna
Rant.
I don't want to get off on a rant here.
Hey everybody, this is Statsman Mark with my thoughts on the Carolina Panthers game. And the Panthers are going to be a formidable opponent. 15-1 is no joke. They did have an easy schedule during the regular season compared to ours, but they still are a very solid football team. They also beat us in week 6, I believe, and that is a game we should have won, and it's that very fact that we were actually winning and should be able to put that away that leads me to believe that we can in fact beat them this Sunday, even though this time it is in Carolina. The Seahawks escaped one last week, but it is a playoff win, and that gives us momentum. And we got one road win down and a few more to go. I also think with the forecast being 45 degrees instead of -5 or whatever it was, that it's going to feel like a game in August. And just like I commented for the Minnesota game last week, I believe that Tyler Lockett is going to be the key to this game. Carolina's defense is very good, and I think that Tyler is going to play a huge role in shortening the field for our offense. The other key is that Darrell Bevell taps into his imagination a bit more. He was working under freezing conditions a week ago. That might have affected his play calling, but he's going to have to mix up the scheme just like he has during the winning streak and keep Carolina's defense as off balance as possible. Russell Wilson, this is playoff football. It's a single game elimination. I am hoping that he will give himself the green light. And if nothing else, that will lessen possible sack yardage in certain situations if he's press. So for this game, I'm looking for a final score of 23-20 Seahawks. I think that Tyler Lockett will take a punt return to the house to help our scoring total. And my game ball will in fact go to the Tyler Lockett. And go Hawks.
And now it's time for the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, welcome to the fourth and final quarter of episode 325, a special playoff Panthers edition of your 12th Man Fan Jam show. It's now time to make our predictions, our prognostications, and our game balls for the Seahawks and Panthers game. Of course, this year we're keeping score on how well our predictions are. There's your scoring on the screen, and there's our overall scores also on the screen. Our guest predictor this week is Jose Rodriguez, a member of our 12th Man Fan Jam Show Facebook page from sunny Los Angeles, California, where he will now get to see the Seahawks in person at least once a year. Jose sent us this. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Jose. Score 21-17 Seahawks. 2 turnovers for the Seahawks, an INT and a fumble. And he's given his game ball. He changed it today to beast mode. But he does say Cam will get an INT to close out the game. And also, I will need a defibrillator by the end of it. All right. As we all need one when you watch this team. And Mark's picks, well, you heard him. We'll recap real quick. He picks 23-20 Seattle. He picked Lockett with a punt return, TD, and Lockett with his game ball. Which brings us to this. Will. Hi, Will.
Hi, Moses.
Always great hearing from you, sir.
Likewise.
Yeah. How are my favorite Canadians, by the way, except for Andy and about 10 other people?
Ann and Tam were doing well. Carrie was doing well.
Good.
John Ryan had a little too much fun the night before, so I didn't get to see him, but I hope by now he is doing much better.
Excellent. You got a score, prediction, prognostication for us on this very important playoff game for Seattle?
I do. I am going to flip the script from week 5 and week 6, and say that Seattle is going to win this game 27-23.
Oh, that would be sweet.
My prognostication, I'm actually building off of your trivia answer, and saying we're going to have more than 100 yards rushing as a team. And I'm going to give Wilson the game ball because I think if our offensive line can stop K'Wan Short, their very, very good defensive tackle, I think Wilson will be able to shred what is left of that secondary and have a huge game.
Nice. Very nice. I like it. Hi, Dustin.
Hey.
Always pleasure to hear from you, sir. Big plans this weekend to watch the game?
Yes, I'm going to watch the game.
Yay!
Dustin's
going to watch the game, everybody.
Yep. Big plan. Hanging out with the same guys I always hang out with, same crew, so.
Excellent.
Stick to it.
Always. Pick, prediction, and game ball?
I'm going to say it's going to be 24-13 Seahawks, make it a 2-score game because I like the fourth quarter to be comfortable.
Yes, we all do.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Awesome when it happens. I need to make another move on Will. So
You gotta stop doing that.
Dustin's making moves on Will.
I can't pick.
Should we leave you two alone for a minute or what?
No.
I like the attention, so.
All right. You whore.
I was gonna go Russell Wilson, but since he did, I'll go Marshawn Lynch, and I'll say that my prognostication is that Lynch gets 2 touchdowns.
All right.
And he's the game ball guy, so. That's fingers crossed.
Going with Lynch. All right. Matthew from Merry Old England. Hi, Matt.
I don't know why you bother asking me. Hello.
The same reason we show up for trivia every week, dude. It's
I know he needs to change. He needs to change how he does it.
But you know what I've noticed? I've noticed when Matt doesn't win trivia, he's rather grumpy at this time of the show.
I'm not grumpy. I'm never
You need to
grumpy.
change the format,
The reason
Dennis.
I'm grumpy is because it's 4:15 in the morning. That's why I'm grumpy.
Well, that too, right.
Dennis, if you change the way you ask the question and say, in the 2016 matchup between the Panthers and the Seahawks, this player had the most rushing yards, or this player had the most running yards, or passing yards, or whatever, and Matt will get it. He'll be right in there.
He's right. I mean, I got all the
That's
Powerball
true.
numbers as well the other day as well. I got all the Powerball numbers. Couldn't buy a ticket, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But it was, nightmare. Here we go. I think the score will be... It won't be this, people. I think the score will be Carolina 21, Seattle 31.
Okay.
I think the prognostications, I think Cam will actually be intercepted 3 times. I think he's going to have a funny game. And I think I'm going to give my game ball to Earl Thomas. None of those things will happen.
Actually, now that he's saying that, Matt's going to sweep the predictions for this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Let it be ridden.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let it not be done. This is how it works.
Yeah.
Can Matt's prognostication be that nothing I say will be accurate? Should that be his
That would
It's
work.
funny though, because I've just had an offer to go and work for ESPN because apparently they want people that say stuff that's inaccurate. So I'm good.
Perfect.
Mike Silver needs an assistant. All right. Well, my 10-year-old son, Little Mo, is too young to develop a healthy and long-lasting hatred towards really anything. But
Give him
after
Yeah.
he saw Cam Newton run out of our stadium in the last game, arms wide open, mouth wide open, tongue hanging out, glaring at the Seahawk fans and going, nah, 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 nah. Little Mo has been begging for the Seahawks to play this Panther team again in the playoffs and shove that tongue down Newton's throat. And I got to admit, he isn't alone. I hope the Panthers are using that last game in Seattle for film, because if they are, they're going to be in for a big surprise come Sunday. This Seahawk team is light years ahead of that team on offense and defense. It's a lot of pressure going from the hunters to being the hunted. We know that. We've done it for the last couple years. And to be the champs, you have to be able to beat the champs. Woo. And I'm not sure Carolina is ready for that jelly just yet. Watch my game ball, Doug Baldwin, continue to show us why the Seahawks don't need to worry about a wide receiver in upcoming draft. Watch Cam Newton panic and have a combined total of 5 combined sacks, fumbles, or INTs. That's my prognostication. And watch another 15-1 team fail to make the Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Ben Roethlisberger. And watch the Seahawks win and advance to their 3rd straight NFC championship by a score of Seattle Seahawks 31, Carolina Panthers 24.
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Well, looks like it's time to bring another wonderful and amazing 12th Man Fan Jam show to a sad close. We are so glad you decided to waste some time with us. As usual, it was a show that raised the bar here at Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. We certainly hope you laughed a little and maybe you learned a little bit along the way. What did we learn this evening? Well, we learned that Will makes us feel inadequate. We learned that Chris Carter offers great drug advice. And we learned that Dustin is still trying to make his moves on Will. Matt dominates Matt dominates trivia, and Jim Bob Cooter ain't going anywhere, y'all. Yeehaw! Woohoo! So on behalf of my partner in crime, Matt from merry old England, our Newshound Shadowhawk Will, Statsman Mark from the gift of the pre-recorded voice, and of course Dustin as the Beaver, this is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity saying enjoy the playoff game Sunday, and as always, go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go
Go
Hawks!
Hawks.